Wow.
Alright, well, let's try it again.
Alright.
Yeah, what were we bitching about?
Just kind of what ended up happening in Chechnya and Dagestan.
Don't think
Luckily-
that's
Is it Dagestan? Dagestan?
I think Chechnya, not whatever.
Chechnya,
Yeah. You said Chechnya or Chechnya or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't fucking
Alright,
matter.
Chechnya, yeah. And then
One of those vaguely...
yeah, whatever.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong,
Either way,
too,
no,
so.
Chechnya is for sure right. I don't
Okay.
know what I said.
No, it is. Chechnya is definitely it, right?
Okay.
But that and then whatever Dagestan or whatever the other
Dogestan?
Yeah, Dogecoin stand.
Yeah, Dogecoin.
That's where
Dogecoin
comes
stand,
from.
yeah. That's the
The
currency.
national currency of Dogestan.
DAGE stand. I don't know. However you say that. Dagestan, I don't know.
Dogecoin stand. We've established
Well, it's where
that this
Dogecoins
is-
come from.
Yeah.
If anybody in the chat's from Dogestan, let us know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
But I mean, yeah, both of those crushings of kind of those rebellions or whatever ended up kind of like Ukraine now, where they just started cutting the power and started attacking civilians and bombing the shit out of infrastructure.
Well, especially
because they threw a big temper tantrum.
Yeah, well, they lost the first time in Chechnya.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, they just got schooled by a bunch of, like, rebels. So, yeah.
So,
but many of the same problems in Chechnya are happening now, all the rampant corruption. But the difference is now the Russians are up against a real military instead of a bunch of dudes with RPGs.
Right, yeah. I think they very much underestimated.
Well, this latest offensive has just been ridiculous. Like, I mean, they completely caught the Russians off guard. Have you heard about just how bad things are for the Russians in northern Ukraine right now?
In northern Ukraine, yeah, the pockets that are opening up behind the Russian lines right now are insane.
Well, when the Ukrainians attacked in the north, it seems like the entire Russian army there just routed. They just panicked and fled. Like, there are reports of Russian units, like, in such panic they started firing on each other, mistaking each other for the enemy.
Oh, jeez.
They left behind all kinds of equipment. At one point, they abandoned an entire tank division's worth of equipment just out in a field somewhere. They've lost something like 340 various military vehicles, including aircraft. Their troops are scattered all over the place. They have no way of getting anyone out. The soldiers were so desperate to get away, they were stealing random cars off the street.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of pathetic, man.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, you wonder how many of the world's militaries are just paper tigers, dude.
Yeah. And it's amazing, too, because there's been all these experts speculating about, if this is the death of conventional warfare, because the Russians were unable to use standard infantry and tank tactics to break the Ukrainian defenses. But then the Ukrainians do it, and they did it just fine.
Yeah, right.
It just goes to show that it's less of a change in the way warfare is going, and more of just that the Russian military can't do anything.
I do wonder if one of the problems for Russia is that its traditional military tactic in all situations is to just throw massive amounts of humanity, no matter how poorly trained and equipped they are, at the enemy, and just overwhelm them with numbers, and hopefully the weather's bad. Mm-hmm. Like that's
the funny part is the weather has been bad in Ukraine, and it's utterly fucked the Russian advance at multiple points. Right. In fact, part of the reason that it's speculated the Ukrainians chose this particular time to attack is that in the east of Ukraine, where it's open fields and shit, which gives an advantage to the more mobile, more numerically superior army.
Yeah.
It's going to turn real rainy over there in a few weeks.
Yeah, get them stuck in the mud. Yep. Get them stuck in the mud, man.
And the Russians don't even have the fucking tires on their trucks. Man. They need to not fucking get bogged down.
Man,
they didn't invest in that all-wheel drive. Man.
It's like a reverse. It's a reverse situation. The Russians are now stuck in that shit that Napoleon got stuck in. Stuck in that shit that Hitler got stuck in. Now they're. Of all the armies that shouldn't get stuck in that situation.
They should know that shit.
Right.
You would think.
Man.
But it's just a huge clusterfuck over there. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And there's a great thing that I saw about the Moskva today. And this
ship, it didn't get sunk.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But maybe this is old news at this point. I don't fucking know. But there was... people trying to figure out exactly how the ship went down, because obviously the Russians aren't going to tell us, right?
Right.
And all we know is the Ukrainians shot missiles at it, and then it sank, and the Russians were like, "Oh, it never got hit," right? And there was a maintenance.
So what did they claim? So they claimed that it was just the ship was so shitty it sank on its own.
They claimed that there was
feel better about it.
They claimed that there was an internal explosion, whatever that means. And
I think that's what happened in this room.
And there's of course been all these crazy Russian conspiracy theories about how there was a British submarine hiding in the Crimea that targeted the Moscow and all that shit, right? But apparently people have gotten access now to a maintenance report from 2016 from the last time Moscow was refitted, right? Mm-hmm. And according to this maintenance report, the ship basically had no working components whatsoever.
Oh.
So, this ship was designed to be extremely difficult to destroy with missiles. It had, missile defense systems and, automatic weapons turrets and shit that were designed to intercept missiles. None of them worked. All their parts were either missing or malfunctioning.
Huh.
And most of the ship's weapons were inoperable. Okay. Its missiles worked, but, all of its various lighter self-defense weapons were basically down. All the fire safety systems, like sprinkler systems and shit, all that was broken. None of that would work.
Wow.
The ship was supposed to have 500 portable fire extinguishers. Guess how many it had?
None.
50.
Okay.
And the fire safety and prevention systems that the ship did have for the crew to move around as needed were so regularly being stolen by members of the crew that they had to be locked up like condoms in a Walmart. And only the Admiral had the key, and nobody else could access them.
Wow, dude.
And
I feel like you should just have a better crew then if you can't trust them.
Well, if you can't get anybody. That's what I was talking about earlier. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Is Russia's in a demographic collapse.
Yeah,
they don't have the mass of humanity to throw at their enemies the way that they did in the past. It's not a reality for Russia now. Their key advantage doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah,
they thought the Chechens were going to win them before. They were sure that those people were going to go in and really handle it all. Probably just because Islamic birth rates are always higher. That's probably one of the few places where there are young men, a significant population of young men in Russia these days. Honestly.
Yeah, because the Russian birth rate has been in the gutter for a decade at this point.
Since then, I feel like it's been since the Soviet Union collapsed.
Right.
Literally, that's 30 years.
Jesus.
Almost.
That's
if it happened in '91, right afterwards, their birth rates have been nosediving for.
Russia's a dying country. It really is.
It has no sense of itself, man. One of the things, what's happening, what Putin's doing right now is, I think, a representation of the Russian psyche. Is this desperate grasp for relevance and to feel like a superpower, and they're no matter how far gone those days are, now they're gonna risk everything, even though they're so weak.
Yeah.
Just to try to hold on to that idea of being this great country. There's gonna be a province of China pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's
gonna be like when the Mongols rolled in.
Yeah, they're a wholly owned subsidiary at this point. Plus, China's true goal is to get that Arctic coastline for its final confrontation with the West and everything like that. And all that farmland and everything. Yeah. Dude.
China might not survive if they don't. Because global warming is going to completely trash the agricultural part of China, and their population is so big they can't afford that.
Right, and they need, they need resources. If they're going to be a major world power that's able to survive being cut off by the West, they're going to need to have all of their own resources, and that's basically what Russia is. John McCain was right. It's a gas station with nukes. That's all that country is. There's nothing else. But China needs that stuff.
It does, yeah.
Bad oil and food.
Mm-hmm. They're also in pretty dire need of a lot of the lumber and shit that's in Siberia.
Yeah.
China's really not doing too hot these days, so I don't know if they'll be in a position to capitalize on Russia's collapse.
Well, they got themselves all tied up in like the idea of like Western markets and stuff like that, and man, the way they built their financial system and the lack of regulation and oversight and watching some of the bubbles that were growing over there, dude. The real estate thing is a disaster.
Yeah.
Like they say that is shaking like the Chinese people's confidence in the state.
Which in turn is making the state crack down on people with all kinds of crazy policies.
Which then makes them lose even more confidence.
Pulling tanks up in front of banks because they're telling people that their savings were an investment product that they can't get access to. Like literally, like you go to the bank, take money out of your savings account. The Chinese government told people that was an investment that they made, and that they couldn't take it out, dude. Like, you're going to get bank runs over there, man.
And then they completely mishandled the whole COVID situation.
Oh, the whole zero COVID policy is just psychotic.
Like, we did stupid shit here, but Jesus, we didn't, like, trash our country to the level of the Chinese.
Right.
Like, get so to
the point
get the rocket off so quickly that you blow them up and then still have them fall on you.
But to the point where you got people screaming into the void out of the windows of their apartments that they've been locked into.
That was madness.
That was scary, man. That whole society is scarred.
Yeah.
Like this was a worldwide traumatic moment, but
nobody got
fucked like the Chinese.
Nope.
Like they're like, you know how scared you have to be of your government? Like, that's that kind of subconscious shit where, like, you don't even, like, really, like, think about it so much as, like, the government just bitch slapped you. Just was, like, got an opportunity to show you who's boss. And was just like...
What is this? Predator?
It's a hunter.
Oh, okay.
That was close. Is it dead?
It's dead.
You're just blasting your way through this game.
I love that cinematic build-up just to get one-hit KO.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, that's how we're rolling. That's how we're rolling on this playthrough.
But apparently the Moscow was also so shitty that its power generators didn't even work most of the time because they had desperately needed to be replaced like years ago and never were. And so as a consequence, they couldn't run all the time, and that meant that the ship's radar and anti-missile systems couldn't even be switched on. They could only be switched on after an attack had already been confirmed.
How old was this ship?
When was this ship made? Like the 80s? It's a pretty new ship.
Okay.
But it had just been so...
poorly maintained.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Huh.
And you could only turn on the radar systems with the express permission of the Admiral.
What? What? So they didn't have the radar on all the time?
No, so that's one of the theories as to why the ship got down so easily is because
they couldn't see that.
Of course, even if they could see, they couldn't shoot down the missiles. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Right.
They could have like drove forward.
Yeah, it's absolutely just baffling.
Makes you almost wonder if they brought it out there because they knew it was toast.
Oh, then maybe there's a cost-saving thing, or if they're like,
or if it was just to save face, martyr it, kind of like
better to have it lost in battle than have it just fall apart in dry dock.
Admit that it's garbage. Because, like, I mean, they've got an aircraft carrier that's like a total piece of... Don't they have, like, Don't they get a bunch of, like, tugs out and, like, chain them up to the aircraft carrier and, like, tow it around?
Yeah, that's what they do.
Dude, it's so sad. That's so janky. Like, that's so fucked up, dude.
That's like when people do stuff like that here. It's like people of Walmart. Like,
yeah, it's the people of Walmart military.
that's essentially what's happening.
That's like. I mean.
Apparently,
they might as well just like take trash bags over the windows.
Well, speaking of trash bags, the Russian soldiers have not on the ground in northern Ukraine were apparently not issued food, water, or sleeping bags, and so in order
you don't need that stuff.
In order to sleep, they had to grub around in the trash and find scraps of like garbage to like fucking make beds out of, so they could stay warm at night.
Wow.
Good God, man.
Yet the people, I mean, I don't know.
I know you guys are gonna break through this at some point. Can we just do it already?
I like how that glass can tank the rocket.
Right. It's.
Yeah, that's pretty sad, man. Sleeping in the trash. Oh man.
Rolling into the country in garbage truck. You can sleep in a dumpster. Truly the dignified way to conquer a country.
No voice match found.
It will be interesting to see where we go from here, man.
I do feel bad for the average Russian. Like so many of those guys get thrown into that shit with very little chance of making it back.
Oh, I thought it was bobblehead.
Well, I don't know. Are they even sending anybody good into Russia?
Well, supposedly they sent a lot of their elite units. I don't know. If
I'm guessing that was at the beginning, though.
They still have some left, though they're currently being forced into a possibly losing battle to retake the north from the Ukrainians.
Right.
I don't know, man. It's goofy over there. I do wonder, though, how much Putin's just sacrificing all of these people to keep the money game running.
Good question.
Ooh, when winter hits in Europe,
not like
man,
he doesn't benefit
they're saying
from
fucked up shit over there.
Yep.
In Switzerland,
they're
they
saying
want
they'll
it to
arrest
be
you if you turn your heat
illegal
on.
for you to turn your heat above 66 degrees.
You
That's
will,
the hottest.
we will come, we will arrest you and
you
put
could be
you in
put
prison.
in jail
Are the
for up to
prisons
three.
warm?
Up to 3
That's a good question.
years, up to 3 years in prison if you turn your heat above 66 degrees.
That's
ridiculous.
they're actually saying that in Switzerland right now.
And it's like, dude, will you turn your heat up to?
That must be
Isn't necessarily how hot is going to. It all depends on how good your heating is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that's how hot it's going to be in your house. Dude.
Right.
Like,
that just means that's just what
the
you're trying
temperature
to
you're
get to.
trying to achieve. Like, people gonna die, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're already dying in Europe, and what about that heat wave? That killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But summer ain't got nothing on winter, man.
Do either of you need to use the bathroom at all?
I'm okay.
Okay. Maddie just wants to take a shower, so she's
Yeah,
checking
that
first.
sounds good. Because, man, talk about not being able to take a hot shower, dude.
Can't take a hot shower, can't take a cold shower. When the hell are you supposed to jerk off?
You're supposed to just wipe down with a towel, dude. Like a damp rag. Like this.
And by that you mean
you gotta
the
watch
sweat. You don't even get wet first. You just
wasn't you supposed to just wipe your junk and your pits and call it a day?
And your feet.
Okay, and your feet.
And your feet. Yep. You get 3 body areas that you can wash.
So when they start running out of water, which is going to be the first of those to stop washing?
I guess I think. Well, I mean, it's Europe. So.
The French are like, we would never wash those things anyway.
The French aren't going to be washing at all. Fucking dirty.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with the energy crisis. People are just generally saying, like, just don't wash your balls. They didn't even suggest you wash your butt, dude. Come on, man, you gotta
wash your butt.
Yeah,
I think butt's probably more important.
I think butt's up there pretty.
Your butt is more important to wash than your feet. I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Honestly, if you could only do one thing and nothing else, I think butt. I think you gotta wash your ass, man.
I don't remember where I heard this, but there.
Yeah, I would honestly rather smell sweat than
ass.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. They're like acting out here telling people like,
dude, it wasn't on the list. It was bits, privates, and feet. Is your butthole a private? I don't think so, right?
That's a good question. I guess that maybe.
I think that
you think that counts as privates? Okay.
Yeah,
maybe they're more reasonable.
Okay, so maybe the butt's included. I always think of privates as like you're just your front junk.
Yeah.
Like
I mean yes, but I feel like that must be.
You just want to believe.
I want to believe that Europe isn't completely inhabited by barbarians.
Yeah. It's gotta be.
I always find it, I just think it's amazing, like, the U.S. is in such dog shit condition. It's clearly going downhill, but the rest of the world is just going hard to outrace us to the bottom.
Well, like, look at inflation and everything, but the U.S. dollar's, like, as strong as it's ever been overseas.
Because everybody else is in the gutter.
All the rest of the world is imploding. The U.S. is imploding, too, but people are overseas are desperately trying to get their hands on U.S. assets and shit like that because they're terrified of the fact that their own economies are collapsing. The pound's going to reach parity by the end of the year. The euro already reached parity.
Well, it's below parity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's below parity. Now it's like in 90-something cents, like mid-90s, I think.
Fucking crazy, man.
That's never happened before, man. I think the Australian dollar is usually worth more than the U.S. dollar, but I think that's approaching parity now too.
Jesus.
Like there's nothing anymore. There's not going to be anything that is worth more than $1 anymore. Any currency around the world.
It's just incredible. Like there's such a global decline.
Well, I mean, COVID was a big part of it.
Yeah.
It's also this has been a long time coming. Okay, like the crazy people on late night TV talking about gold, they were always right. You just didn't know when it was going to happen. But they were right that it couldn't go on forever.
Right.
And COVID just kicked the whole rickety system to its knees, dude. Like,
I mean, it's basically just a house of cards, and COVID kind of went.
That's kind of how, like, in 2008 they blew up Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
Right.
Like it was the fact that there was so much economic devastation and so much disruption
health
to the
that
system.
we're just like not even using.
Well, we don't need help.
We didn't even get hit anymore.
We're one hit killing everyone, dude. But it was COVID and how much of a shock that was to the system that revealed like that the system could not cope, and it just revealed all of the problems with the world financial system.
Right.
But
it also hasn't helped that just general bad policymaking, corruption, and fascism, and all that have been going on before the pandemic. It was all contributing to that too.
Yeah, it's true.